Okay, this is Suspense question 2 that I was asked to do in class. Here's a question from the book. I've checked that this guy here is a garage owner, and these are some of the entries we need to deal with. So I'm going to do this in 2 parts. The first part I'm going to look at journalizing the necessary corrections and showing suspense account. So before I start doing anything, I've got the blank document laid out. So here's my record book 2 that I'm going to put all of my journal entries into. I've got my statement correct net profit and my corrected balance sheet ready to go, and then I also have ready to enter my suspense account. So I'll do that suspense account as the second entry. The suspense is over here. So motor car purchase on credit from B Brown for 12,600, entered incorrect side of Brown's account as 1260. So B Brown, we know, is somebody I owe money to because I bought goods from him. So that means that person's a creditor. So if I put it on the wrong side of account, creditor, somebody I owe money to, is a liability. I should have a credit entry in it. I put it in as a debit. So what I'll do is on the opposite side, I'm going to put the 12,600 that I should have put in the first place, and I'll put another 1260 to cancel the mistake that I actually made. So because that entry was put in the opposite side, so I'm putting a credit entry in to cancel the debit, the wrong side entry that was done already. So that was put into his account. It was also put in the equipment account. It should never have been put in there at all, because equipment is a fixed asset. And this should never have been put into that, so I'm going to take that out. It was credited as 6210, so I'll debit 6210 to take it out and put so that I can put it into the correct place. So I have a credit there for that. I have a debit there for the equipment, and I bought goods because I'm buying and selling cars, so it should be purchases. So we put it into the purchases account. In taking it out of the equipment account is what we're doing, and this purchases is an expense account, so I have more expense, so I have a debit entry in the purchase account of 12,600, which is the actual amount of the transaction. So I ask myself now, do I need a suspense? I do have a different amount of debits and credits, so I will need a suspense. So I know that there's more on the debit side and the credit side. Suspense is going to be therefore be the credit side. The suspense will be 12,600 plus 6210 minus the 13860 that we have above. So 4950 in the suspense, and that's going to be a credit entry. And say purchase of car recorded wrong side and in wrong account. Next one. Check paid to a landlord for rent of business premise, 6 grand, 15 months, had not been entered in the books. So that was not entered, so I wrote a check, so therefore it's bank. So that means credit, bank, and the amount is 6,000. And sorry, it's on the credit side of bank, so it's not on debit, so it's on the credit side. So therefore I should have 6,000 on the debit side, and that's an expense called rent. So that's debit. So payment not recorded. We need to make sure that we are putting these transactions in, because if we don't actually, the little narrations they call it, if we don't put it in, then that means that marks are going to actually be lost for this. So we need to make sure that we do record this. So debtor owed Brogan 420 set a check, 400 full settlement, correctly entered in the books. No entry made of the dishonouring of the check and the writing off the debt because of bankruptcy. So I'm cancelling the fact that I received a check. So when I received a check, that would have gone into bank, and I would have put that in as a debit of 400 for the check. So when that bounces, I'll have to have a credit for 400. Then I would have been given a discount of €20, which is a discount that I received. So I have to cancel that I've got a discount received, so I'll debit it. So discount So discount received is an income, so that's normally going to be a credit. I'm cancelling my income, so I have a debit there of that. Now, so I've obviously lost I've lost out on. Okay, I owe money now. Sorry, somebody I owed money to. Sorry, they owed money to me, so those would have been debtors. That payment has been cancelled. We're never going to get that money, so we're going to call that an expense called bad debts. Bad debts, we're losing out in the full 420, and that would be DR. And just quickly checking, no entry made. Okay, so we say no entry made of dishonored in check. Move on to the next one. The return of motor car bought on credit for 38. Transaction was treated as 28. Credit notes. Okay, so that's the wrong amount. So there's one mistake. And secondly, credit note arrived showing restocking charge, the only entry made. So a second mistake in the bottom part. So I'll do the first part separately first. So I returned a car and it was entered as 10 grand less on the correct side of the correct accounts. So I need to add an extra 10 grand for returning goods. So it's purchase returns. And the people who I owe money to are creditors. Purchases would be debit. So purchase returns is the opposite. And I need to have 10 grand more purchase returns. And then creditors are people who I owe money to. And I owe those people less money because I returned goods to them. So I owe them 10 grand less. So that's going to be a debit. Okay. Next. So credit note subsequently arrived showing restocking charge of €100. So I should have put it in restocking, I didn't do it. The only entry made was a credit in the creditor's account. So I'll get rid of that by doing the opposite of this. So I'll debit creditors. I'll go debit 20,300. And that means I'll need a suspense, okay, of that amount, but I'll come to that again. And now I'll do, so that's cancelling what I did do. Now I'll do my restocking charge. Now, so that restocking charge, you could call it purchases returns as well. And that's money that I am being charged, so that's going to be a debit. So it's a bill to me. And that money, I owe that money to creditors. So I owe them more money, so that's going to be a credit entry. And then finally I'll finish up my suspense. So the suspense is going to be the difference between the two sides. So that in this case it's going to be a credit. 20,300. And say returns under recorded and restocking so there's my explanation there. Moving on to the next one. Private debt. So private always makes me think it's either drawings or capital. So if the owner is putting money into the business, making the business richer, it's capital. He's taking money out as drawings. So 1,000 owed by Brogan, offset against his business debt of 900 owed to Brogan for car repairs. No entry made. Okay, so the business debt is the relevant one. So it is owed to Brogan. So that's debtors. So the debtors has been cancelled. So CR. So how much is the business debt? Against the business debt owed to Brogan for, okay. So the business debt is 900. So we're cancelling a debt of 900, and that was cancelled because of the owner, let's say, playing cards with the other guy, and the owner lost at cards. So it's like the owner is taking money out of the business to pay for that debt. So that's 900 on the debit, so we'll call that drawings. The fact that the debt itself is that was owed is more than the 900 debt is not relevant here. There's no discount involved. It might be a discount privately, but not for the business. So no entry of returns of no entry made of private debt cancelling a debtor's balance. And finally, I'm not sure if I have enough room here for this, so I'll just stick a couple of more lines. So Bogan paid 1,600 for private repairs from the business bank account. So private means it's capital or drawings in this case. So repairs privately were paid for by the business, so that is drawings. So we'll have drawings as a debit because it reduces capital. Capital being a liability, drawings therefore is an asset. And the amount is €1,600. And the other 1,600 comes out of the bank account. So our bank, the asset bank, has gone down by 1,600. So no entry of private debt paid from business bank account. So there's the we now have the general journal finished. We can take the information for the general journal now, and we can put that information into the other accounts we have to do.